Hey everybody, welcome to Surface Level, a show that takes a look at society's expectations and rejects the ones we don't see it for, all from the perspective of three black, queer best friends. I'm one of your hosts, Damon, and today, Tony, Jordan, and I are discussing coming out to our dads. Did coming out change your relationship with your dad? Do you censor your gayness around other black men? This is Dad, I'm a Bottom. Dad, I'm a Bottom. Alright, so... Alright, talking about being homos with black men.
Let's get into it.
My favorite topic.
I think your favorite topics are dads or men of distinction. So let's talk about a few. And see which ones tickle your fancy.
Okay.
Alright, let's go with a couple actors that are in the dad range.
Mm-hmm.
Blair Underwood or Morris Chestnut. Oh,
Blair Underwood or Morris Chestnut?
Jordan just purred, so.
Blair Underwood seems like he's a little bit more gainfully employed, so maybe I'll go with Blair.
Okay, Tony.
Well, I actually... this is a hard choice because Morris Chestnut is that dude. Like, he was this piece of chocolate, and I don't want to... What's the word when you're like, I don't want to... fetishize or what have, but that man,
he's fine as fuck,
could get it. However, when we talking about dads, Blair Underwood,
hello,
baby,
hello,
get the shoes, baby, get the shoes,
get the shoes,
get the shoes, baby, get the shoes.
shoes.
I saw him in a Soldier's Play.
I too was
recently. Oh my god! First of all, his acting, bar none, top, best in class. There was one scene, though, where he entered the stage and his shirt was basically open. And at his age, I think he has to be in his 50s, right?
Is it?
I think he's probably in his 50s.
Oh, cute.
And when I say the body was there, the whole crowd, it was a...
The aunties
I
were wild.
I almost said it was a moment of silence, but actually it was a moment of...
It was uproar.
Celebration, you know? And so... He's the ultimate.
He is the moment.
The ultimate. Damon.
I mean, I was with you at that same place, so I don't have much to add.
Ooh, we agreed on one. We agreed on one person. That's the first.
Ooh.
All right. Athletes: Rick Fox or Grant Hill.
All right, baby. It's Rick Fox, the Silver Fox. They like to call Anderson Cooper the Silver Fox. No, baby. Rick Fox. And I don't remember what show it was, but when they...
The Game.
Is it The Game?
Mm-hmm, with Tasha Mack.
But
yes, that's what you're thinking
what
of.
I'm specifically thinking about, and I think there was a role where like Rick Fox and Vanessa Williams were like a couple or a pair. They were like the parents of something. And he is... I mean, that man, and he's a former Laker.
He's so delicious.
You know, he's tall. He's just silky smooth.
Always has a suit on.
Creamy. It's...
All right. Jordan,
am I going too far?
Moving on.
My eyes are closed.
My eyes are closed. I'm in a moment.
Somebody else. Cut
I don't even know Grant Hill. Is that Tamia's?
That's Tamia's husband.
Okay, cool.
And he was a basketball player.
She can have him. Rick Fox.
You said she can have him?
Is the moment. Like, whatever. Let's move on. I can't even get into this. Rick Fox is the moment.
It's getting hot in here.
It is getting hot.
I was going to say Grant Hill.
Oh.
He's been married that long. I love Tamia. Like, I love them together. So, like, something about him always feels endearing. And kind.
Okay.
Whereas, like,
kind.
Rick Fox seems like dad bachelor to me.
Wait,
I don't even know if
married?
he is a bachelor or if not, but he feels that way.
I'm not sure.
We don't know. We just see him when he's
in a single light.
He feels single, even if he has a long-term partner.
Right. Oh, so maybe he's crazy.
Like Halle Berry.
All right, well, I'm crazy too.
Sorry, love Halle Berry. Cut that out. All right, final. Musicians. Maxwell or Lenny Kravitz?
Oh, now this is a toughie.
Jordan.
Maxwell.
Oh my god.
Lenny Kravitz is too, like, eccentric, eclectic. I feel like he's going to start saying some shit to me that I don't care about, like the moons and the constellations in the sky. Shut the fuck up, Lenny. So Maxwell feels like a little bit more like my speed. Like,
not like old Maxwell. The old Maxwell is basically Lenny Kravitz.
no, but the new Maxwell is like that girl. He be gallivanting around the parties. I'm actually pretty sure that he's gay.
Listen.
What?
Out in the girl.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
Out
This
to the
is
jury.
This
It's
is
out
just
to the
my
jury.
this is just my
Out to
perspective.
the jury.
But like Maxwell's like, I like Maxwell. Okay, Pretty Wings. That was my moment. But Lenny Kravitz, it's just like it's too eccentric. I'm like, I don't have time to be like talking about all of that.
Tony?
So, I struggle with this because Lenny Kravitz, he's going to be the one that gets in my mind, and he's going to be speaking and saying some really intelligent shit that I just will probably like. I would be fanning myself and probably like melting on the inside. But I'm going to have to say Maxwell because I went to his concert maybe 2 years ago, and he gets up on stage, and that voice is still that voice.
Okay.
Maxwell sings, and it's true. He can sing the panties right up off of you. So I left there. I still had my clothes on. I didn't throw them up on stage like these other women were throwing bras. Like, I saw a lot of things hit that
kept
stage
your bra on.
because the man. I kept my bra on.
Okay.
But this man has a swagger that is unmatched, unparalleled. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna throw it to you, Damon.
We already know what Damon gonna choose.
No, I'm going to say Lenny Kravitz.
I know.
Of course,
He's so
he's poetic. He's
Interesting and
Yeah.
beautiful. His home out in like the forest in Brazil is gorgeous. It was an
He has a
Architectural
home in
Digest.
Brazil?
It is stunning. It's
Yeah.
like an estate with horses and trees.
There's a thing
Oh
on
my God,
Netflix or
it's
Hulu.
the
You gotta watch it.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Oh my God. What do you mean it's ghetto? You are crazy.
We went to Brazil, and that place is
No.
crazy.
This house was an Architectural Digest.
Is it in Sao Paulo?
It's not. It's like out.
It's
In Brazil.
its own.
It's
estate.
like its own thing.
It's on its own grounds.
It's just like, but he's so interesting.
He is.
Like he like it feels like it would never be boring.
It wouldn't.
And I like to be intrigued.
Okay.
I would also
Well,
like for Zoe Kravitz to be our sister.
Cute.
So make that happen.
And
you know,
like
curiosity.
that
killed the
man's
cat.
body, oh my God. His hair.
He's in shape.
He's amazing.
Okay. I'm not mad at it.
Definitely not objecting that.
All right, we're gonna finish objectifying slightly older men.
Ooh, that's the word I was looking for. Objectify. Yes. Let's do it.
Sounds good to me. Sign me up.
So let's get back focused on our dads and our relationship with them, and kind of start off with kind of when did your dad find out you were gay, and did that change your relationship with him? What was it like? Maybe Tony, let's start there with you.
So, I don't know when my dad found out on his own that I was gay, or maybe had thoughts that I was gay, or maybe had questions from other people in the family on if I was gay or what I was. But when he found out from me, when I let him know, it was kind of funny actually, because I have a good relationship with my dad now. Wasn't always that way. Now we are tighter than ever. We're thick as thieves, and I realize I'm my dad.
Yeah.
We are the same person. And it was when I was in my first really serious relationship that lasted about 3.5 years. And I was at a place where I felt like this guy was the guy, and I am comfortable with letting my family in on that and just being open with it. And I was riding in the car with my dad in Harlem. We were probably bar hopping. We were, getting into things, dipping and doing it. Okay. And I'm in the car and I'm like texting my guy, and I'm having a really good time. And I'm take a break from texting, and I tell my dad, I want you to meet my boyfriend. And he says, your what? And I said, my boyfriend. And he was like, oh, okay. And nodded his head. Music kept playing, kept turning up. He was cool with it.
A lovely thing.
It was, and I know that's not everyone's experience. Trust me, I know that's not everyone's experience. But I am fortunate enough to where my dad has always loved me. He's always the one that verbally says, I love you. Yeah. Whereas for me, like, my mom didn't always say that. And even though I know there's an unconditional love, she raised me. I am who I am because of that woman. And my dad's always just been more just vocal about showing and expressing his love. And my son this and my son that. And he took it in stride. And he ended up meeting my boyfriend at the time. And my boyfriend had since came on family reunion trips. It was a beautiful thing. And that's how he found out. And I think once I was able to get that out verbally and let him know, it brought us closer. Mm-hmm. And my father exposed to me some things that I wasn't ready for. Like when he was younger, he had thoughts on his own sexuality, you know, and I'm like, wow, like my dad's this alpha macho man. He's a short guy, but he has this voice that has this bass that if you heard him talk over the phone, you would have thought he was 6'6", 300 pounds, you know. But it was beautiful, and I love him for it, and I'm glad that the way it's changed our relationship is now we're closer than we were then. It's only brought us closer. Yeah. So I think I'm interested to hear you guys. What do you think?
Mine's fairly similar. Like I came out with my dad literally the night before I moved from Boston to New York 8 years ago. It was because my mom was, I don't remember exactly the conversation, but was asking me something to the effect of with like getting married and grandchildren. Something
at 21.
Just like, why are you dating somebody? Like, when do you think that you'll like think about that? And my parents have been married since they were like 18.
Oh.
Yeah, like my parents grew up on the same street in Chicago.
A simpler time.
Yeah, simpler time.
So were you like me, where you never brought a girlfriend home, so it was getting...
No, I brought girlfriends home.
Oh, ooh, all right.
Oh, so no Gold Star.
Oh, wait a minute. No Gold Star.
Gold Star gay versus not Gold Star gay. Okay.
Yeah, so no, I had girlfriends in high school, and yeah. So I guess it was fairly fair for her to ask. But, and like, I just remember at that point, I'd been out of school for a year. I kind of came out of it. I was dating a guy at the time, and I was just like, I'm not moving to New York and living in this falsehood anymore. And my dad is the one that, ironically, like, you don't think about this with most black men and their gay sons or just gay people in general. He was the one I felt more comfortable calling and saying. I remember I was sitting on the floor of my apartment in Boston. There was no more furniture because it all shipped away already. And I was just like crying. I was just like, Dad, I'm gay. And this conversation with Mom made me really uncomfortable.
Wait, you came out to your dad the weekend after I left?
Yeah, the weekend after you visited me in Boston. That weekend before I moved.
That was the weekend?
Yeah, so like that next, because I remember like Friday night.
I remember having no furniture in your apartment when I came in. It's just like, why are we on the ground? Like, I'm moving to New York next week.
Right. Jordan, I lived in Boston for a year. Invited him every weekend. He waited until the weekend before I moved to New York.
I find it interesting that you felt the most comfortable coming out to him before, like, your mom. I know as boys, I think we naturally gravitate to mama's boy. Like, I definitely am that child. Yeah. So it's interesting to hear you say you felt you could tell him.
My dad's always been like less emotional, which is tough at times, but it makes him easier to talk to, but super protective. Okay. So, like, even when I came out to him, it was just like, okay, cool, you're my son, I don't care what anyone thinks, and if anybody has an issue with him, I'll fight them. Like, these are his words.
I know that's right. Get into it.
Probably gives you a preview into why I talk and act the way I do. And I remember when a time later when I had a boyfriend or partner I wanted them to meet, and my mom wasn't comfortable with it, and I remember telling my dad, I was just like, well, it was Christmas every time I was in New York, and I told my dad, I was just like, well, if she has an issue with it, and y'all are coming to my house, she can stay at home.
Okay,
and my dad was just like, okay, I'm going to talk to her, we'll do it.
Point blank.
And then a couple years later, I was taking that same partner home to Chicago with me for the holidays, And he was like, okay, I'm going to talk to Paw and everybody, and everybody going to shut up, and they're got to deal with it.
Right, because, listen, if they want you to be around, then they're going to have to accept you for who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's giving, I don't have to be around.
Hello?
And so I really applaud your dad for taking a stand for his son.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, again, this is not necessarily like the norm.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always get that support.
No.
And especially from
our
men in the Black community.
Yeah.
It's different. And especially thinking about your dad's expectations
mm-hmm.
of you. So coming out and being this different person with your sexuality who you're into guys is very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really appreciate how he responded to that.
Yeah. Jordan, how was your experience?
Not great. So, my father...
Do I need tissue? Do I need to get ready?
No, I'm not going to cry. I already did that with my therapist.
Okay.
But I decided that I was going to come out to my dad and my brother. Because, to give you guys context, I grew up with my mother, but my dad and my brother grew up or lives in Michigan. So, like, I would spend summers in Michigan with my dad and my brother, but I would spend, like, the school year in New Jersey with my mother. So I decided to come out to my dad, and I knew before going into this that he didn't support homosexuality. Very religious. Mm-hmm. And we had this one homeless guy in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he was gay. He was the only gay representation in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
A homeless guy.
A homeless guy. It was the only gay person that we knew.
Oh, I'm like, baby. Trust me. There were more.
I mean,
but that you knew.
But that we said, like, this is a gay guy.
Yeah.
And his name was Goulash.
Goulash.
I don't know if that's the name that we gave him. I mean, you put an accent mark somewhere in there.
Goulash.
It's not goulash. It's just goulash.
Did I make it fancy?
You did make it fancy. You made it cursive. But he, like, you know how you, like, turn your shirt in so that you can, like, pull it into the top so it becomes like a bra halter top moment.
Yes.
So, like, he would do that, and he had a plastic bag that held all of his belongings, but he would chase people. Like, he was mentally touched.
Mentally ill.
Yeah. But that was representation. And, like, I remember growing up and being, like, a young kid, and my dad just being like, if Goulash ever touched any of my children, like, I think I might, like, really fuck him up. Like, and that's protective and everything like that, but I think that for that to be your only gay person that you interact with, or I don't know if you can call it interacting with, but, like, that you see, and it's, like, this, like, gay person who's just kind of, like, down and out, down on his luck, not doing well, mentally ill, not able to get the resources and the help that he needs to be able to be independent. What does that do to your perspective? And you already are super religious. So I decided to come out to my dad and my brother on the same night when I went to go visit them. It was after I graduated college. After I moved to New York, I planned a trip to Michigan, and it was specifically to come out. They didn't know this, but I knew it.
All right, you planned your own intervention?
I sure did, because I was just like, I need to get this off my chest.
You were a rainbow crop top?
So I did not. I was very conservatively dressed.
I would have just wore a rainbow crop top. I'm here.
But I bought a bottle of champagne from the liquor store. I drank the entire bottle before I built up the courage to tell my brother first.
You was drinking Andre.
And I told my brother, I was just like, you know, I wanted to let you know that I'm gay. And he very calmly told me that I had already came out to him when
so you did graduation
during graduation.
Let me remind you.
We ran Lotus together.
Like, let me remind you.
He was just like, "Are you? I already know you're gay. I went to your graduation. You invited me out to the party, and I knew that you had all gay friends. And you told me that you were gay. I was just like, oh, okay.
So here it is. You planned this whole trip, took a flight, and what you thought was your coming out. And your dad said, "Wait, baby."
The girl's blacked out at home.
Honestly,
no, the brother, not
that's
the
what
dad.
happens.
Oh, okay, your brother.
Yeah, my brother. That's what happens when you walk around. That's what happens when you walk around in the club with a bottle of Patron in your hand.
Jordan's brother's fine.
And
All right now.
so he was just like, I don't care. He was just like, I love you anyway. Like, very unconditional. Like, I was kind of expecting that from my brother because my brother is very, like, a sweet person. I then sat my dad down and told him, and he let me do my whole spiel, which I don't even remember what the spiel was, but he very calmly said, I love you, but I don't support this.
Okay. I mean, that's real.
And, you know, at that moment, I was just like, how do I move forward?
Right, what now?
Because it's like, do I just like remove the romantic part of my life when I'm talking to you? Do I only talk to you about work?
Do you feel like you have to, do you censor yourself now with your dad?
I don't talk to my dad as often because I don't want to censor myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I just eliminate him from
that's your business.
The conversation set.
I hate when someone's saying like, oh, I don't agree with you, but like I'll tolerate you or I accept you. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, I don't want to be tolerated.
No.
And then, like, even like we were all talking about that video from that
Mother Abundance. What's her name?
Yeah,
I don't watch
Electra
those.
Abundance.
Yes.
What's her real? Dominique Jackson.
Yes.
I hope I didn't mess that up. I think it's Dominique Jackson. And she was at I think the human rights something. And she was just like, I don't give you the power to accept me or to tolerate me. I take that from you. I demand my respect.
Reclaim her time.
It's just, because it's just like people. I will say this again and again on this podcast. Like, how much are we willing to accept for so little?
Yeah.
Like, we all went in together and saw Gay Chorus Deep South, about the gay chorus of San Francisco that did kind of a tour through the South because their creative director was this gay guy that grew up in the Deep South. And they were at a church and they were like, oh, well, we love you, but we just don't accept your decisions. Or we love
exactly
you.
That.
Exactly. But I'm just like, then you don't really love me.
Right.
Listen.
You can't ask me to be...
Tell the story.
A third of who I am and to put on a show when I'm around you and say you love me.
Absolutely not.
Like, you can't love parts of me and hate other ones.
Right.
That don't make no damn sense.
You know, it was very weird because my dad is the more emotional parent out of the two. Like, my dad would, like, always be like, I love you, son, and would, like, sit me down and tell me how proud he is of me all the time. Like, and we still talk. Like, you know, we still text and everything.
That's a mindfuck.
And it's always just like, I'm so proud of you, I love you, blah, blah. And then you look, like, at my mom, who's just kind of like, girl, you're not doing enough. Like, rarely says I love you. Like, unless like an emergency. But like my mom is like the more unconditional one. Like, my mom is just like less expressive, which is probably why I come off pretty dry. Because like that's who raised me. But
my mom's the same way.
But like my dad was like the emotional one. Like, I've seen my dad cry. I've never seen my mom cry. And I remember like a follow-up to our conversation. I was just like, this is like, when I came out to him, I was single. had just moved to New York. And then when I had my follow-up conversation, I scheduled a trip to Michigan maybe like a couple of years after that. And
going to Michigan.
You know,
just called a girl on the phone.
Okay, she's taking flights.
I can't do. Well, I also be wanting to see my family, but no, leave them. But I at that the second time that I went there, I was actually in a long-term relationship with someone who I thought that I was going to build like a forever life with. So I was talking about the idea of marriage. And I remember very explicitly my dad being like, I love you. I just don't think that if you married a man, I would come to the wedding.
Well, all right now.
As if I would have some personal intervention that I would like marry a woman. And like, I just remember like bawling, crying, like in the moment. Like usually I like, you know, gather myself a little bit and like cry in privacy. but like I couldn't even like contain it. It was just kind of like those words sort of hit me really hard.
Well, what we are looking for from our parents is their approval. There's nothing more gratifying than your parents being proud of you and your parents championing you and accepting you and pushing you up and elevating you. And when you don't get that love, and when you don't feel that love, and when they're rejecting who you are, that strikes at the core. So I'm not surprised that you would break down right then and there, because anybody would. You're human. That to me, like I'm kind of shaken right now about that, because it's a traumatic moment, and it really, I can't even imagine what you felt at the time. I have a different experience than you. But in this case, I feel, there's empathy and sympathy, but I feel like I can empathize a bit because I know what that rejection feels like. I know what it feels like when your mom or your dad is disappointed. And in this case, disappointed with the person who you know you are, and you can't change that about yourself. So now what? And that's why I felt like you were like, where do I go from here?
And I think it's too, like, all these preconceived notions that people have. And, like, your dad's only, if you're saying his only interaction was with a person who needed a lot of help in their life, and that's how he perceived gay people. And it's, in a funny way, we named the episode Dad, I'm a Bottom, because we wanted to play with the idea that people outside of our community kind of bottom shame and just like, my son can be gay, but he can't be a bottom, or whatever it may be. And just like, even before you even get to that stage, for a parent to just say, I can't accept any parts of you in that light, it's painful as fuck. And
Absolutely.
And it's also just like a very like confusing situation. I won't talk about it too long, but like even going through therapy and talking about this, like my therapist is constantly like encouraged me to like limit communication and just being like, if someone rejects you, it's okay to step away. But I just can't. Like, I love my father so much. Like, he's made so many sacrifices for me. And I'm not necessarily making excuses for him, like, oh, like it's his religion, but like I do take that into account. Like, this is what his true beliefs are. And unfortunately, I'm not around. I feel like me not being around him enough to sort of shift his perceptions doesn't help either. Like, I'm living my life in New York. He rarely sees me. I maybe fly to Michigan every 4 years. But like, he was just like, my therapist would ask me every fucking week, like, did you write that letter to your dad?
Right.
I'm like, no, I couldn't find the words. Did you write the letter to your dad? Well, maybe just write the letter and send it to me. I'm like, I can't.
And you never ended up sending that letter?
Never wrote it, never drafted it, never sent it, never nothing. And it's...
Would you write it today?
I don't know. Like, I feel like, just like so many parts of my life, I packed it so far away. And I've just been like, okay, well, I guess now is the time for me to just like lean more into my mom. As if I didn't already do that in my life. But like, I just sort of tried to like detach myself from the situation. Okay. But it really hurts because like, that was like the homie, like that was like my more emotional like parent that sort of was able to be vulnerable with me and will sit down and talk to me. My mom was very much like, this is right, this is wrong, I'm not repeating it. Right. My dad is more so like, let's sit down and have a conversation for an hour and a half every day. Yeah. And I miss that. And a part of me feels like letting him know that I have no tolerance for his rejection is sort of like extracting him from my life, which I just think is a very big decision that I'm not ready to make.
So what about that experience has made you think about, like, if you were to be a dad one day?
I don't think too much about, like, I mean, maybe I do think about, like, how parenting stuff, like, my parents.
You absolutely think about parenting.
Yes. But, like, I don't know. I see myself as a parent of one child or two, definitely a girl, and who knows what the second child will be. Hopefully another girl. But I just see myself as just like
Rich white woman.
a sickening dad.
You know what?
Like,
I'm a sickening dad now.
okay?
And I don't have any children, so...
Like...
What's the tea?
Like, you know, just... I will not have a child until I have enough savings for private schooling, like foreign language lessons.
Listen, Jordan, I disagree.
Okay, well, channel that for you.
But I think anybody that's ever had a child, no matter how rich, no matter how successful, no matter how much savings they had, no one ever says they're ready.
Right. There's no manual script.
ever human has ever been like, oh, I'm ready now.
Right. It's just, it's human nature. And I think no matter how much you have saved in the bank and are prepared monetarily, when you have that kid, it's going to probably like... I think we talked about this before, and we've agreed that Jordan's going to have
the wildest child.
You're going to have a devil of a child.
Oh, first of all, I'm not.
Yeah,
my child's going to be very well behaved.
I don't know.
It's not a plan. It's a whole being.
Yeah, I was a well-behaved child. I want to allow my child to be able to do whatever they want. I think that I look at Will Smith and Jada Pinkett as like really strong examples of parents who sort of like let their children be the type of kids they want to be and experiment and try different things. So,
Tony.
So, I would like to be the type of dad. It's similar to my dad when it comes to the love that you show a child. I think so there are those precious years, those precious adolescent years that really mold you and shape you, where I do believe that the words that you hear from your parents and the affirmations really make all the difference. I don't know if you guys remember that like Instagram video of that kid and his dad or his mom, I forget which parent it was, but they were basically affirming the kid and making them, before they went to school, it was kind of like on The Help, that movie where it was like, I'm smart, I am kind, I am important.
Oh, I love those videos.
That I think drastically changes the trajectory of a person and really how a person feels about themselves. Like those words really matter, and hearing that and saying that and believing those things mold you. And so I want to be that type of dad that is just pouring the love into my child and letting them know that they are enough. I want to basically be what that video that you've probably all seen on Instagram with Viola Davis. She did a campaign with...
Oh, but she's like, you're enough.
Right. Yeah. And I forget the brand off the top of my head. It was like a cosmetic brand, but she basically was saying, you are enough. Say it. Say it again. Say it louder. This time, mean it. Like, that's how I want to raise my child. And I think that will be all the difference. What do you think, Damon?
I think I would love to be just like my dad, but more open.
Okay.
And my dad has been strong for our family. My dad has been the person that, for both my immediate family and my extended family, that we have always gone to. And for the last year, my dad has battled cancer and has been very ill. And parts of it have been very hard on us. And hard with me because he has always been used to being the strong person. Mm-hmm. He's always been used to being the one that you can go to for help, the one that's always doing a thing, the one that if anything goes wrong, that they come to him. And I think that he has had a very hard time, and we've had a hard time even figuring out the roles as a family about how to view into how he truly feels and get into the heart and get open with him, and how to support a person who has only ever viewed themselves as support for someone else. And I think that I would love to be everything he has been to me, but with another layer of vulnerability that he has not had, and that has made the experience that our family has had over the last year. I think.
No, I hear what you're saying, because what I've learned over the last few years, and only recently, honestly, is that there's power in vulnerability.
Yeah.
And when I hear about the type of dad you want to be, you want all your dad's traits, but like that added layer of being vulnerable and showing your cards and showing I'm not perfect. I don't always get it right. And I think when you show those sides of you, people, they relate to you a little bit more because they're like, wow, this person seems perfect, but now I know that they're just like me. And then B, it allows people who love you to be that shoulder to lean on. People want to support you. People want to be there for you. They want to help you in time of need. And if it never seems like you're in a time of need, like no one can ever support you. So they feel like, okay, that person's perfect. They've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And so I love that answer. All right, y'all. That's all the time we have this week. But let's keep the conversation going. Let us know your thoughts and questions at surfacelevelpodcast.com. And if you enjoyed this discussion, please rate, review, and subscribe.
And you can stay updated by following us on Instagram and YouTube at Surface Level Podcast. And remember, stay curious.